Hello, I'm ABX Toycat and welcome back to Seed Sunday. Seed Sunday is a weekly series I run on my channel where usually I show you seeds, Minecraft console that are particularly interesting and worth checking out in some way. However, this week we have something a little bit different because I wanted to compare a TU30 seed to a TU31 seed. This is something I said I'd do before the update, and it's something I wanted to show off because a lot of people figure, oh yeah, TU31 brought in some new biomes, but it actually changed the world generation in quite a few interesting ways, and I thought it'd be cool to show off the TU30 world of the same seed to the TU31 world. So we've got the Wii version of the game running the IBX Toycat seed, then we'll go over to another edition which is running TU31, and I'll be showing you the exact same seed again to show you all of the differences. So if you do like this idea for a video, please do all like it and let me know, because it helps out the channel a lot and lets me know you do like it. But let's get straight into it really, shall we? So yeah, you've probably seen this seed at least once or twice on my channel before if you've been subscribed for a while here, because this is my favourite seed to compare things, because it's just kind of a stable that I know a lot about. I know a lot of the subtle things that might not be obvious on just a random seed, but yeah, basically to give you a basic tour of the map, to the bottom six of the map is entirely extreme hills. This the other side over there is almost entirely forest, and then to the north you see a plains biome which leads into eventually a snowy biome, and then a desert which is pretty small, but it's mostly flat land with either forest, extreme hills, or plains. Like the vast majority of the map, even though there was 23 biomes in this update, the vast majority of it is covered by just really 3 of them, forest, plains, and extreme hill like I mentioned. And yeah, as a result of that, one of the handy things is there is a village here. So I want to come back to this village point later because it's actually an interesting one that it's got a subtlety as to why the village isn't perhaps there, but yeah, that's just something you want to bear in mind. And also bear in mind that the spawn, which is on this mountain, which I can show you the coordinates right now, or where it is on the map, it's just over here. One thing interesting about the spawn mountain on this seed and why I really liked it is also I'm really bad at using the Wii controls. If you wonder why I keep looking at the ceiling, it's because I'm like but yeah, basically there's actually a mob spawner here, and sometimes it's a double mob spawner on one particular console, so it's kind of nice like that. But yeah, just bear in mind there is a mob spawner in this mountain, and yeah, it's an interesting point for later. So a few other things that we're going to want to bear in mind for this point of today's video is that we head all the way to the bottom left of the map here, and I believe it's like minus 360, minus 55. We can actually find, well, this is true for any map, but you'll find a bunch of these lakes around the place, and these are actually, again, entirely separate to the seed, and it means you get some interesting things. But yeah, that's kind of that. If you look over here, you can see there's one of these corners. I think it's just going to be interesting to show you this later, and then also for this little well right here. And then finally, another thing that you want to bear in mind before we show you the other version of the seed is if you look, there is a river here. This river, seems to follow a very interesting path, like it goes through the swamp, this whole thing, and there's also one to the north east of the map if you check this whole map. Let's just say things get very, very interesting. A few, key points here is that most people think that because the biomes double from TU30 to TU31, that's like, oh, well, instead of averaging 6 biomes, which is I think what we have on this map, oh, you'd average 12 instead. But, I think if we just, show you what the TU31 version is, then we might be able to make a bit of a clearer point there. So, I think just a few of the points I want you to memorize here is look at this map, see the variety of the biomes, or lack thereof, see the general size of the biomes, and then also see some stuff like the villages, like the lakes, and like the dungeons. And now let's compare it to the the new update equivalent, so you can get an idea of what's changed and what's going on there. Okay, so now we're here in Title Update 31. Isn't it magical what you can do in a little bit of time? But yeah, here we are with an entirely new update with a bunch of new biomes. And if you look at this map, you can see it's generated in such an amazingly different way. And I want to kind of talk about all these changes because some of them are just like, oh yeah, well, there's new biomes, so it will generate differently. But some of them are a little bit more interesting than that. So first of all, let's talk about the spawn location. So this is one of the big things they've actually done that they haven't really done before. Basically, the seeds from TU30 to TU31 is not just an improvement or it's not just an iteration over the previous one where, like, when they added the mushroom biome or the jungle, this is actually a just brand new kind of generation algorithm. It looks like, it makes it so you spawn in a different place on each map. It looks like, the ratio of each biome has changed. Basically, everything has gone to scratch and they've started again with a new console seed algorithm. And I think one of the big parts of that is the number of biomes they wanted to fit in one world. Because if you're playing on a 360 or a PS3 or that size world, which is like 80% Minecraft console players, then you don't realistically have a chance to get lots of new biomes in your world if they just stuck to their old formula, which just about worked, with the 23 biomes, which kind of split into like 8 categories. Now, after the update, there's something like 45 biomes that split into a massive number of categories. It's just like, that's just not going to work in one world, so what's the solution? And the solution they opted for seems to be a combination of 1, spreading out biomes more than you'd expect and having a lot of different ones, but 2, having smaller biomes so that way you can fit more in there. So, for instance, here we are spawning. Before, this entire quadrant of the map, or like like this entire little section here used to just be one giant extreme hill biome with a kind of plains in the corner. So let's show you what we've got now, just to kind of show like, oh wow, that's a lot of stuff. So yeah, again, the spawn position has changed, but just around the rough spawn, because the previous spawn would probably be somewhere in this little ocean right here, I think. Or actually, no, the previous spawn would actually be in this little ocean right here. So let's show you all the different biomes which have now generated in what used to be one giant biome. So first of all, here we've got a spruce forest. This is one you're vaguely familiar with. It's just, you know, the tiger biome, the cold tiger biome from before without the snow. It's nice, but you know, it's one unique biome. Just bear that in mind. We've got a tiny little bit of plains here, you know, as well as a little bit of plains over there. So that's two biomes. We've got a frozen beach here. This is the oddest location for it. Like, it doesn't really fit with the surroundings, but you know, we do have a frozen beach, its own little biome that's free. We have the regular beach over here, like on the opposite side of the lake, that's full, you know, because you can see the sand goes way further in than it should, and you can also tell it's not a desert. And the easiest way, if you want to confirm, by the way, whether you're in a desert or whether it's a beach, it's the easiest way is to put down some leaves and be like, well, they're not wilted, so we're not in a desert. So that's a separate pro tip right there. But yeah, that's something you can tell right there. So we've got beach, we've got cold beach or frozen beach, we've got the plains, and we've got the you know, tiger just within a few blocks of the spawn. But it goes crazier than that, because as we head this way back to, you know, the new spawn on this map, you can see literally within each direction of spawning, you've got a regular forest mixed with the, you know, the regular trees and the birch trees. Just over there, you've got the tiniest spruce forest over here. You've got another spruce forest here, so this is bringing us up to 5. And then to the corner of the map, we've got another plains. We've got, you know, the extreme hills biome here, and it's just crazy the fact that in what used to be one giant biome, or arguably two, we've now got 6 instead. And not only is it 6, but it's 6 kind of varied, kind of unique ones, because you can see over here that it's you know, this is a, you know, a little extreme hill mountain that also has some spruce trees on it. It's nice like that. I think the variety we have instead is kind of cool like that. But let's show some of the other cool points that I wanted to mention, because I think, you know, this can all be summarized like the biome stuff. It's like there is a lot of new biomes now. The size of the biomes is massively reduced. So stuff like this, where this seed, IBX Toycat, again, it was on screen earlier on the video. Basically, this seed right here does have, you know, this massive spruce forest, but even the massive spruce forest, which before you could find jungles which would literally cover 3/4 of the map, this massive spruce forest, which is, you know, in relative terms on this seed, actually doesn't even cover like 1/5 of the map. It just kind of goes from roughly the old spawn a little bit north, and then even then, some of the taiga is a separate biome, which a lot of people want for a separate reason, the mega taiga over here. So the mega taiga biome is, you know, a really cool one, and it just kind of separates things up, and that's one of the cool little exceptions I like, that, you know, it's not really changing too much, but it's also a kind of nice change. What used to be before a giant biome of one type now has a unique one mixed in. So if you find, for instance, a giant forest, you're going to have some sections which are just birch forest like this, or some sections which are just spruce forest, which is really, really cool. If you have a giant, you know, taiga biome, you're going to find some mega taiga, and I really do quite like that. So yeah, just looking around the rest of the seed, actually, wait, one of the key points I did mention was, first of all, the village, which isn't here now. So you might notice, even though there's loosely, you know, some plains around where the village used to be, you might notice there's no village here. So why did the village not generate on this bit of plains right here? So the reason for this, in case you are curious, is mostly to do with the fact that, you know, basically what happens is villages are set to generate in specific chunks on a world. In the new update, you know, the villages couldn't generate here because it can only generate if it's a plains, a desert, or a savanna, which means a lot of old villages which used to exist, they technically exist in the game code. It's just the game code doesn't generate them anymore, which means, you know, this used to be a village, but now it's a spruce tree, in simple terms. And also another thing you might notice is what used to be a you know, mob spawner, or a lot of mob spawners, if it was previously an extreme hill biome, which were more common, you know, before the update, because there was one of fewer biomes, now it's just not there. There is just no mob spawner here, because of the fact that obviously it used to be in the sky. It was kind of set to generate up there, and now it just can't generate there because it's not there anymore. So obviously you're going to be able to find it somewhere around here. You can find a lot of the old ones as long as they're below the ground, but if it is somewhere that just doesn't exist anymore or isn't an appropriate spawn condition, it's going to go away. And since a lot of things change to make villages less appropriate, to make desert temples less appropriate and stuff like that, you do find less of those as a result of that. And that's just an interesting little side benefit of having so many new biomes. It does mean the existing biomes, of course, they're rare, and some of the things about them then become rare as a result. So yeah, just as an interesting kind of flow around the rest of the seed, I did mention there was a little a little lake at specific coordinates. You'll notice how you know, this river here, even though the rivers are a biome, which by the way, another biome to add to the list, Even though rivers are their own biome, for the most part they have changed, but some of them will occasionally stay the same. So this one loosely generates along the same lines as the previous one, with a very specific kind of like, doing the same kind of curving through. I actually think that's kind of interesting. Like some things, even though they, I guess coincidences are bound to happen if you do so many changes, but even though they've made so many changes, every now and then you get something that's just exactly the same. Like even in spite of having a brand new, generation thing with all these different things, that's kind of that. So just quickly, this same lake right here is still going to generate because again, they changed the entire way biomes generate and a lot of the size of the biomes and stuff like that, but stuff like the lakes, stuff like the mob spawners, and stuff like the villages will still generate in their old places if they can. And not only this, but what used to be a swamp, so they couldn't generate the lake, is actually here now. So, as an interesting little side effect, it means places where lakes couldn't be before, that might have been useful, are now there, and places where lava lakes can be before, could now be there, but it's not because of they haven't changed where they place, they've just made it so previously where they couldn't generate, they can now. So, just in case I'm talking too much into the same subject that you're like, I kind of get that, so I just wanted to show off the rest of the seed here, because if you are interested in the seed, I think it's really, really cool. This, the seed that before had, the plains, it had the forest, it had the, the extreme hills covering most of it, and then it technically had, three other biomes to make 6 total. Now, there was 6 total in that tiny little section of the map that used to be 1, but there's also stuff like this, where you can see there is a mesa biome to the north, which, by the way, as another interesting little little fact, because of the fact, worlds now are actually bigger than they were before. And you might be like, Toycat, now I know you've gone crazy. I know for a fact that worlds aren't bigger, they still go to 432 in each direction, which is true. You can go to -432 or +431, which gives you an 864 by 864 world. But a really interesting fact you might not know is that before the update, only 2 specific types of biomes, the extreme hills and 1 specific type of it, would go to the edge, and also a jungle edge. Only those biomes would go to the edge, and then sometimes you'd find some other ones. But now, as a result of the new update, a lot more biomes than previously did will actually go all the way to the edge. And whether this is a TU31 bug or it's an intended feature, it means that instead of having this entire 16 or like 8 blocks or so that's just water, kind of like here, you see how the swamp ends here, then there's just nothing, and then there's ocean, which is all wasted space. Now, a lot of the biomes, pretty much all the new ones, do go all the way to the edge. So you can see the mesa goes all the way to the edge, and it means basically it's not a big difference, but your world just expanded by, like an extra 8 blocks, which is about 1% each direction. So even though you might not feel it, your world got about 2% bigger as of the new update if you got the new biomes exclusively, which is a small change, but it's a nice change. So, to show you around the rest of the seed, there's, I haven't been counting entirely all the biomes, but we've got the swamp, we've got the thing. I think that adds up to about 13 or 14 biomes. If you want, you can go play Where's Wally and spot for yourself. But yeah, there's roof forest, there's savanna. Oh, I haven't shown savanna, but there's roof forest, there's savanna, there's spruce, there's mega spruce, or mega taiga. There's extreme hills, there's plains, there's all the forest. There's all these different types of biomes now, and I think in general, even though a lot of people are upset that you get stuff like this, look how small this roof forest is. It literally goes from here, a few trees over to there, and also, this has one of the smallest instances of biomes I've ever seen, because just to the north here, there's like, I'll show you. So, yeah, there's a lot of really cool benefits of this new thing. It's got new biome stuff, but it also has a few downsides. I think to get all of these cool benefits, which it does have, you end up with stuff like this, where I'm going to show you the smallest roof forest biome in existence. It's a roof forest so small, there is no dark oak trees here, because it generates just here, and then, obviously it gets cut off. So that means what actually ends up happening is you end up with a mushroom just over here, and it's got nothing attached to it. So yeah, this is the smallest roof forest in existence. It has no trees, it has 1 structure in it, and half of that structure is overwritten by another biome. So I just thought that was an interesting little fact right there. So to kind of summarize my thoughts here and let you know what I think of the new kind of way seeds work in TU31, I think it's cool that they specialize it for the console. I think, although they've done a little bit before, I think it was overdue that they changed it. The big changes they did make were changing up, the way biomes actually generate. Although it loosely follows the PC version, it tries to make them smaller where possible. I think that's a nice change. I think if you've got a small world, you need to do that. I think that's cool. I think the way structures are changed, that's a necessary change. There's no way to make the villages happen. I think it's a shame that we find less villages as a result, but I think, again, there's nothing they can do about it. And I think as a kind of general overview of T30 versus T131 seeds, I think these new seeds are better. I think you can have more fun on any average world, but I also think that the odds of finding something amazing are kind of reduced, because you can't find a seed which is 80% plains anymore. That's not something you can do. If you love a biome, having a whole seed in that biome isn't something you get anymore. And that's something that, might not be for everyone. Not everyone might like that, and you might need to bear that in mind. So, anyway, that's kind of the overall summary here. Hopefully you learned something about the new seed generation. If you did like the video, please do like it and let me know. It helps out the channel a lot, and lets me know you do like it. I actually just got back from doing all the Christmas stuff on Christmas and Boxing Day. So yeah, I'm a little exhausted. Tomorrow we will have another Let's Play, because that seems to be a Monday thing. And yeah, let me know if you have any particular videos you want to see, because I'm just very, very exhausted right now. And I'd love to hear what you've got, gone on there, because that's how I restock my video idea list. So yeah, thank you all very much for watching this Seed Sunday. There'll be an actual seed at some point in the week. We'll do like a Seed Wednesday or something. And yeah, thank you very much for coming along, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.